A little bit then, maybe. All right. I bow to all the seekers of truth. I am very, very happy to meet you people from Iran, because the first country I visited was Iran at the time of Shah. And I found there were many people who were seeking the truth and they had freedom to do that. And we had very few people, because I was staying with my brother and we didn't have a program like this. But at least 20 people came to my brother's place and got their realization. After that, you know what happened in Iran, and I lost completely contact with them. But even now, there are some people who are in Iran and who have got their realization. So I think Iran is a very old country of great culture, and before it became Islamic, it had Zoroastrians living there who had great philosophy also. Then these Islamic people also took to Islam in a very serious way. I don't know, but before Islam came, the people used to make art with human figures. And after that, they started making things of this kind, where there were only flowers or cubes or geometrical drawings. It happened that I went to Shiraz and I went to Metropolis also. So all the places is full of divine vibrations. That means there have been, even before Muhammad, 5 times Zoroaster came. And then came Hazrat Muhammad, who did such a lot of work for all of us. But I think there was a little problem which took place with that. People have twisted many things by which we are put into trouble for nothing at all. Quran was not written by Muhammad Sahib, you know that, because he did not know how to read and write. So he told about it to his friends, who also did not know how to read and write. So then, the children of these, we should say his friends, they were educated, and after 40 years, after the death of Hazrat Muhammad Sahib, we can say the Quran was written. At that time, before that, a big problem started. Because you are all Shias, I am quite happy to tell you about what happened. That Abu Bakr became the head of the Islam, Abu Bakr. And he was a fundamentalist. Actually, it was Hazrat Ali who had to become the head. Ali had to become. But somehow or other Abu Bakr managed, he was a very ambitious man, to become the head of the Islam. It's a history, I am telling. Now, when he became, he tried to argue with Hazrat Ali. And he said that whatever written in the Quran is all right, and he added his own things also to it. Now Hazrat Ali, had a fight with him. I know the whole history about it because my father translated Quran into Hindi language. So I've read Quran also quite nicely. Now what happened? It's a history where the turning point took place. As you know, Hazrat Ali became head, but later on he was killed, and his two sons were killed. And the wife of Muhammad Sahib, Aisha, was told that you will go and fight against the truth, and you will know it when the dogs will bark. So when she went on the other side, it's called as Hawa. It happened. And dogs started barking, but still she didn't listen. And she went and told the other side of the people that whatever is Abu Bakr saying is all right. You listen to Abu Bakr. So the rift started that time. And as you know, later on, Hassan and Hussein both were killed in Karbala. That's how Shia and Sunni two parties started. I must say, thank God you are Shias. Because Shia believe in many things which are the truth. One, they believe that you will become a wali. You have to become a wali. We have Hazrat Ali, who was himself, according to our Sahajoga, he was an incarnation as Muhammad Sahib was. We worship Muhammad Sahib, Hazrat Ali and Fatima. For us, they are much more than you know in Quran, which later on you will find out how they are related to India. They are very, very great souls who came on this earth, and because these fanatics didn't understand them, they killed them. So then the Shia started feeling sad and having the matam, For that, they started wearing black clothes and having matam. But the time is over now. In that, most of the Quran was written according to Muhammad Sahib, but I think something more was added by these people who read Bible. In the Quran, Christ has been praised, his mother has been praised, Moses has been praised, Abraham has praised, and said that there have been 1 lakh walis before myself. And when he said also that I am the seal, it has double meaning. It doesn't mean that he was completely finished, after him nothing will happen, but it meant that he was the stamp of a wali. He was the stamp of a prophet. But Muhammad Sahib never said that he was divine, because he knew that if he said he was divine, they will attack him and kill him also. So he never said he was divine, but not he was divine, but he was the incarnation of a primordial master. Now, the only thing where we have gone wrong is one place where we talk of Qiyamah. Qiyamah is the resurrection. Resurrection time is described according to Bible. You don't know how much Bible has been ruined by John. John, who is, by Paul. Paul is the one who came into Christianity just to use the forum for himself. He was a political man and just wanted to use it. So he gave his own ideas. And the most absurd idea he gave about Qiyamah was this, that when the time of Qiyamah will come, then the bodies of the people will come out of the graves and they will get their resurrection. This is absurd. You know very well that in the graves, what is left of a human being? Nothing. His soul goes away and his body is there, which decays, and only the bones are left. So, it's an absurd idea that people will come out of the graves after so many years, and our forefathers also will come out of the graves. It's impossible. You see, religion is logical. It is not absurd. It is not nonsense. It is the greatest sense. But we should understand how these things have been brought in. So the idea of Qiyamah was ruined, I think, by Paul, first to begin with, and these people must have taken from there something of that, because it's an absurd idea. On the contrary, as Muhammad Sahib has said, there have been 1 lakh of walis, means have been incarnations before. So, the idea of Qiyamah in the Indian scripture is much more sensible in a way, because it says that all the souls which are dead, which are hanging in different states, will take birth when the Qiyamah time will come, when the last judgment will come. And it's happening. That's why you see, these days there are such nice people, there are saints, there are such beautiful people, and also at the same time you find there are such horrible, cruel, immoral, all types of people are born. Some of them look like animals only, worse than animals. So all these souls are now taking birth. And these souls are here for their resurrection. Now this is your resurrection time, no doubt. This is the time when you have to be resurrected. And this resurrection takes place, luckily, en masse. Here we have few Iranians sitting, but in, say, I went to Russia, we had never less than 16,000 people, never less, always in a big stadium. Because it is the truth you have to know. So far, if we had known the absolute truth, there would have been no quarrel, no argument, no war. Everybody will think the same way, isn't it? If it is one truth, then why should you think separately? Why should you think separately? Everybody thinks the same. So this is what has to happen to us, is to know the absolute truth. To know the, please be seated now, don't disturb. To know the absolute truth, what has to be done? Because at human awareness, we cannot know the absolute truth. At human awareness. If we had known, there would have been no problem. Everybody thinks differently. Somebody thinks this is true, somebody, if you ask a Christian, according to him, the Muslims are the worst people. If you ask the Muslims, according to him, the Christians are the worst people. If you ask the Jews, they'll say the Muslims are the worst. They all think they are the best. It's a wrong idea. It's absolutely wrong. So, to understand it fully, what we have to do is to know the absolute truth. And the source of absolute truth is your Atma, is your spirit, is your Ruh. And that is what one has to know. Unless and until you feel the Ruh, unless and until you are connected to Ruh, you cannot know what is the truth. It is like this, you see, instrument, which is, if it is not connected to the mains, it has no meaning, it has no identity, it doesn't work, it is useless, it won't carry my voice. In the same way, namaz is very great, but namaz is what? Is nothing but for your resurrection, a kind of a movement where you should get your resurrection. The other day I had a Muslim gentleman who came to me because he had angina and all kinds of physical problems. So it was a namaz time. So I said, you do your namaz now. He did his namaz and he felt the Ruh at that time. He felt it. In the same way, you have to first feel this Ruh which is around us. So what is the truth? The first truth is that you are not this body. You are not this mind. You are not these conditionings, these feelings, this ego, but what you are You are the pure spirit. That's the first truth. Because you say my ego, my body, my mind. Who is this mind? Who is the owner? Who is this I who calls itself mine? So, this one is the spirit which is within ourselves. The second truth is that there is an all-pervading power of divine love, which we call as Ruh. It's all over. Now we see these flowers. It's a miracle. It has come out of one seed. Every one is different. Every leaf is different. Every color is different. Who does all this living work? Who runs your heart? You ask a question to a doctor, he'll say it's autonomous nervous system. But who is this auto? Who runs your heart? You have to find out who runs this heart. And then we come to the point where we say we don't know. Then if you go to the science cannot answer many questions. First of all, science is amoral. There is no morality about science. It deals with matter. But when you ask a question, why are we on this earth? Science cannot answer this question. So we have to find out, why are we on this earth? What is our purpose? Have we come here just to live, earn some money, pay some insurance and die? Is that our value? Have we got something more that we have to achieve? So we have to find out that the purpose of our life, why we are here. Now you'll be amazed, understand that this all is done, as he must have told you, through a power within us. Now this power is your individual mother. Everybody has this mother, and this mother is knowing everything about you. She is the power of mother. Also Abu Bakr didn't want to talk about women. He fought with Aisha. And also later on he fought with everyone, and he said that women do not count. That's how they put the women on the other side. But Muhammad Sahib respected women out and out. You see, but despite every effort, there is so much of truth in the Quran. First of all, he said that a woman should be married. At that time, there were lots of wars going on. You know, as there were tribes, they even gave poison to Muhammad Sahib. Horrible times. I don't know, he must have a great courage to venture into these Arabic people, because they were very, very hot-tempered. But he said one thing, so many young people are dead. And with these so many young people dead, what should women do? They will become prostitutes, there will be no family life, so it doesn't matter. Have 5 wives, but marry. He didn't want women to become prostitutes. And that's why, to establish the sanctity of married life, he said, all right, at that time to marry 5 wives, you can. But there are so many rules and regulations about it. It's not compulsory, because you are a Muslim, you must marry 5 times. Now people have misused all these things to a very great extent, that I'll tell you, in India we have a problem that women, we have a separate law for Muslims. So their men marry sometimes 4 times, have 8 children. 8 children. So many children. And suddenly they say talaq, 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 finished. These 3 poor women, they are thrown out of the house, and the meher is nothing. So just thrown out of the house, and they are on the streets, absolutely living on the streets. One day I was traveling, I had gone to one place and I saw on the, our car had stopped because some problem. There was one tap and women were coming to fill the water. Absolutely very poor. I mean, in India I've never seen such poor people. Extremely poor, their children absolutely bones in such bad conditions. Just couldn't bear it. I felt that an ocean of compassion for them. And I asked them, what is this? How are you like this? Then they told me the story, this is what has happened, and we have in no way help from anyone. So, these nonsensical ideas have brought so much of brutality and cruelty to women also. Now, we have to understand that whatever Muhammad Sahib has done is for our good, for our benevolence. All this he told us to be moral people, because we have to be moral. If we are immoral, then our humanity goes away. But he said you have to have Rahmat, Rahim. All the time he talked about love. Now so far we have used hatred in the name of God. Everywhere we have used the power of hatred. But now the time has come to use the power of love, of divine love. Because you can feel it. It's all around you and you can feel it. If this realization takes place, you can feel it on your fingertips. This is what in the evolutionary process, now you are human beings, and then just a little jump, just a little breakthrough, and you can feel it on your fingertips. We have so many Muslims from different countries like Algeria, also from France. As you must have heard about Rouhani Ayatollah, he was surprised the way I gave realization to thousands of people in Paris, and they were of different races, different religions and different nationalities. And he was so sweet. I told him, now you don't have to wear black. Those days are over. Now you have to think of resurrection. So he agreed. I had taken for him a white tunic and a white turban. So he wore it very sweetly and made me wear his turban also very sweet. He was very, very sweet. And then he was to go to Algeria because they are fundamentalists who were really very cruel. So he asked me, Mother, what should I do? I said, see, now you are protected, you better go. Nothing to worry. He went there, and I am told he was very successful, and he tried to control the fundamentalists and told them that the Qiyamah time has come now, take to your Qiyamah. That is how he solved the problem. So now we have to live in peace. No more fighting. Look at our children. In the name of God, these are some people who are interested in making money or getting power and making everybody fight. Now these Bosnia people, I feel so sorry for them. One of them I met, happened to meet. So I asked him, I said, why are you fighting? Forget it. Now, just accept whatever is there. And these horrible, these Croatians and these Serbs are terrible people. You just now give up and don't starve and die. They are not only starving, but they have nothing to eat. They are just frozen. It's worse than gas chamber, because gas chamber in a short time, but they 15, 20 days they starve and die. Just imagine. Only because they are Muslims, they are dying. So the reason he gave me was very bad, because he said, now, you see, we are dying in the name of God and we will be resurrected. If we are now dying in the name of God, we will be resurrected. Absurd. Of course not. One should not care for this land, this, that. one should care for oneself and for the well-being of your own children. This fighting going on, thank God Arafat had some sense, it's a little bit less now. But still, I would say that people have to take to peace, understand that we have to live in complete joy and happiness. Now this Sahaja is working in 55 nations. I have never seen these people quarreling with each other, fighting with each other, saying bad things to each other. Of course, I mean, they pull each other's legs, you see, joke and all that. But that's different. It's a lot of humor all the time. They're laughing and enjoying. When I was in Russia, they had this problem of the coup. And I asked them, I said, aren't you worried? There is a coup on. So they said, no, mother, we are in the kingdom of God. Why should we worry about this Russia? It's like that. So all this is within your reach, you can get it, and really this will happen. God wants you to be happy. He wants you to be in the kingdom of God. He has created you to give you all the joy and happiness. You know a father, how he treats his son. Does he make him suffer? No. So, God is the father of all the fathers. Why will he make you suffer? Think of that. It's impossible. It's a wrong idea that for religion you have to suffer. Not at all. On the contrary, be kind to yourself. You are human beings and you all can get your realization in no time. Only thing is, it is not meant for stupid people and idiotic people. There are many idiots also. I was surprised. From Egypt we had some people who I must tell them the story. They were communists. And there were 8 people who came and they said, we want to have a conference on anti-racialism and anti-fundamentalism. And 30 persons can come, you look after our food, everything, put us up in the hotels and we'll have a conference. But then I just thought that this will happen automatically if you become the spirit. Automatically. Because you transcend. You become a different person altogether. So, what's the use of this? I said, all right, I'll say we'll have a conference on self-knowledge or self-realization or Kiyama. They fainted with the word Kiyama because they were communists, you see. So I said, all right, let us have it on self-knowledge. So what they told me, that if this is the subject, then only 7 people will come and you have to pay for their travel also. So I went to Budapest and I asked, what is this? Why do you want me to pay for your travel and only 7 people will be coming? So you know what they said? This is the stupid part of it. They said that the idea of self-realization is yours, so you must pay. The first one was our idea. These are Egyptians, imagine. I must say Iranians are much better. I've never seen such people. That it's your idea to have the self-realization, to you pay for our travel. This was too much. I tell you, this is not the way that I would like to do it. You see, so I gave up. I said I gave up. It's primitive. You have no idea at all that what religion is and what you have to have. How can you say such a thing? It is absurd. And this absurd idea they gave me, then I gave up. I said, finished with the Egyptian communists. I don't know from where they have learned this thing. That okay, on principle, you must pay. So this is what it is. You can understand. I know Iranians are very wise people compared to all other Muslims. But the problem is this fundamentalism that has gone into their heads. Iran is in very bad shape. We have Indo-Iran Shipping Company. My husband was chairman of Shipping Corporation and used to go to Iran, come back. And there's a shipping company working Then he became Secretary General of the Maritime Organization of the UN, and that's how we came in contact with lots of Iranians and lots of people who were living there. Among all these, I think they are the first ones, because they are also very ancient, very traditional. They will be the first one to take to resurrection, no doubt. And it has worked. I think I'm so happy to see you here. I was always hoping that I'll meet you, and this is your own that you should have. This is your own power, is all your own, and you all should have it. They are very beautiful, nice people in Iran. I have very good experience of them. But only maybe coming to this country you might have become very materialistic. You were not so materialistic there, that much I know, but I don't know, because coming to this mad country, everybody becomes materialistic. See, it's such a materialistic country that, and people become very superficial. That's also true, no doubt. But even Indians have become materialistic here, you know. It's a funny country, but still, you have emotions, you have feelings for your families. It's not that bad as it is with others. But I must say this country is quite mad in so many ways, you see. For example, some things you will never do. I mean, we Indians can never do something that they do, like this lady Elizabeth Taylor getting married 8 times. That's all right. Then on top of that, she got married, and there were people, 4,000 people went to see her honeymoon. She married a very young person, and there were 10 helicopters hovering on her head, and there were people who were coming down with parachutes to take her photograph. I mean, this kind of a madness, I tell you, Iranians cannot do, we Indians cannot do. This is beyond us. I mean, first of all, if she has divorced 8 times, nobody will go and see her, because it is inauspicious to see such a person. So it's such a mad place. It's all right, but there are also very nice, sane people. I mean, I hear lots of Americans are sitting who have got realization, and they don't mind, because they are the ones who told me all these things, what stupid things they are doing here. See, it happens. After realization, they start finding their own faults, and they relate to me, whether we are like this, we are like this. So you start seeing, you know, clearly. Now, of course, I think you can ask me some questions, and then we can have realization. But this subject is very great. It's like an ocean. The knowledge is like an ocean. Now, when you come in this room, when you have to put on these lights, you just have to put on a switch, and all the lights come. But if I have to tell you all the history of electricity, how it came to this place, and how this, that, it is a headache. So better is to put the lights on. First put the light on, and in that you can know everything. In this short time, actually this meeting was arranged very ad hoc, and despite that I am so happy you all could come and I could meet you, because it was my heart's desire to meet you, and it has worked out. So at this time I may not be able to tell you much about it, but if you have any questions you can ask. But as I said, first of all we must have the light. All right, come on.
Just have a comment. On behalf of the Iranian community here, I'd like to welcome you here and thank you for really bringing this information here. I've been studying metaphysics for several months now, and just not here by no accident. And I'm really glad to see someone here in the Iranian community taking a stand and helping us with this and the information that is coming about. Thank you very much.
It is very promising, young people saying this. I don't know how to thank you. To see young people saying these things is extremely promising, because you know what is the condition of young people here. What's happening to them? They are going to dogs, absolutely. And young people are to be saved today. It's very important. They must have right values, right understanding. Do you know that in Sahaja Yoga, people have given up overnight Overnight they have given up drugs. Overnight alcoholism. I never say don't. If I say don't, half of the people will go. So it's all right. I just say take your realization. The case is like this, that supposing there is darkness and my eyes are closed or maybe open, but darkness, and I have a snake in my hand. I am an obstinate person. Somebody tells me you have a snake in your hand, I'll not give up. I'll say there's a rope. Why do you say it's just no? Till the snake bites me, I'll go on holding. So you have to have little light. Immediately you leave that snake without anybody telling. This is what has to happen, that you all should have that. And then you will realize how fantastic you are, how great you are, how glorious you are, and what a great work for you to work for God in this room. It's something, such a great happening. And you just become like an enlightened person. Like one candle which is enlightened can enlighten many candles. You can give realizations to so many people. Only thing, you have to little bit practice it and understand it. You go into 3 stages, as I told you, that first of all, you become thoughtlessly aware. You come in the present. You don't think, but you are aware that you are in the present. The second state is where you are doubtlessly aware, where you have no doubts. Then you start giving realizations to people, curing people. As a result of this happening, this Kundalini, your centers get corrected, they get integrated, nourished, and also they are enlightened. These are the centers which are our fundamentals. And they look after our mental, physical, emotional and spiritual being. As a result, you get cured also. I must say that we have seen people being cured of cancer, of lunacy, epilepsy, asthma, even AIDS. Even AIDS. And after getting this, you don't get sick. And if you get sick, you know you are getting sick. It's something, is the self-knowledge you get. First of all, you know about yourself, about your centers, and also you know the centers of others, because you develop a new dimension within you, the collective consciousness. When we say Allahu Akbar, Akbar the Great, when you say that, you just say it with the lip, but then you become part and parcel of Akbar. You can feel others. Who is the other then? You can feel others on your fingertips. Now, if you know how to correct these centers, you can correct others and also you can correct yourself. Now, there are many doctors who are doing research on them. We have one very great doctor who has come here from London. He is looking after 7 hospitals. And we have some doctors who have got their MD through Sahaja Yoga, who have shown epilepsy, asthma, all these diseases can be cured. It's all tangible. It's all tangible. It's all your own power, and you become that fantastic thing. It's like, say, you take one television set to a remote village in somewhere where they have never known electricity, and you tell them from this box you can see lots of films and things. They'll say, this is just a box. That's what we think about ourselves. We are just a box. No, we are not. Once we are connected, then we are so fantastic that we start wondering, how is it I never knew all these things, that I have all these powers within myself. Thank you very much for saying nice things.
We have 5 doctors, Persian doctors.
5 what?
5 doctors, Iranian doctors in the audience. We have 5 doctors, Iranian doctors.
What documents?
In the audience, we have got 5 doctors now here.
Here?
Yes,
5
today,
doctors.
today, tonight. We have 5 doctors.
Why?
bless you. Enjoyed your words. Very nice. Question I had for you. We're talking about spiritualism and being your spirit as well as your body, and realizing that spirit within you. I see more and more of this spiritualism spreading all over, even more than, I mean, it's been around for thousands of years, but all of a sudden you see more and more of it. And I think the mass consciousness is demanding it. That's why it's happening to my beliefs, of course. Where do you see us evolving after everyone is consciously aware of their spiritual being? And of course, we're going to be in the body as well as in spirit. Where do you see us evolving from there? I kind of like to get your idea of foreseeing what's going to happen to humanity.
No, you become the medium of God. See, you become the medium of God. His powers start flowing through you. And once you know the laws of divine laws, then you become a saint, you become a wali. That's what it is. And once this light, when it was not enlightened, you see, it was needed the light. Once it got the light, it is giving the light. That's what happened.
Do we need our physical bodies still?
Beg pardon?
Do we need our physical bodies still?
Of course. This is the body which can only reflect the spirit. You see, the idea that in the air you will be, no. This body is very important. And this body is needed because in the body is this mechanism. And in the body only this will be reflected. So very important. Not only, but after realization you need it more. Now see, I am 70 years of age myself. And still I am going strong. Because this body is needed for people, I think. So it's going on and on and on. And I travel. All the time I am traveling. So what's she saying?
We're going to have a permanent center here.
Yeah, we have. We have a very good center in LA, very surprisingly. And the leader of the center is sitting there, Phil Trumbo, Phil Getup, and he's the leader. And he's the one who is looking after this place. But I don't know the address exactly where we are. But whatever is it, haven't you given them some? You have. Yeah. One thing is you cannot pay for it. You cannot. It's a living process. As you do not pay to your Mother Earth for getting these flowers, you cannot pay for it. God doesn't understand money. Please remember this. He doesn't understand money. He doesn't understand bank. So all those people who are collecting money in the name of God and spirituality know that they are hypocrites. All right? Should we have realization? You have to ask me something. क्या बोलते हो?
2 महीने बाद ईरान वापस जाएंगी।
हाँ?
अपने माँ बाप को मिलने आई हैं ईरान से। 2 महीने बाद वापस जाने वाली हैं शिराज से।
You're going back?
Yes, I'm going back. I've been practicing surgery for 3.5 years in Iran.
In Tehran there are people who are doing.
ये 3.5 साल से खुद कर रही हैं सर्जरी वहाँ पे।
अच्छा? In Tehran? Oh, wow. And how many people you have who are doing surgery there?
It's about a year I'm going there, and I think Europe eventually. But on that time, about 10 people, 10 Yoginis and 1 yogi.
Yeah?
कह रहे हैं कि 1 साल से कर नहीं पाए सहयोग, 1 साल पहले 10 योगिनी और 1 योगी 11 लोग थे।
हाँ।
तो कह रहे हैं मैं वापस जब जाऊंगी तो उनको कुछ खुशखबरी देना चाहती हूँ।
हाँ हाँ।
I would like to know that is it possible we have a prophet center in Iran, and when will we see you, meet you in Iran?
आप ईरान में मिलना चाहते हैं।
You see, all my attention is there. And all this nonsense must finish. It's in a terrible mess, Iran, I know. People are in a terrible conditions. They're fighting. It's terrible because, I know a first-hand news from there. I told you the company is Indo-Iran, shipping companies there. It's so sad, even the children are in a bad shape. All my attention is there. And I'm sure within 1 year's time, something should happen. It should happen. Everywhere something is happening, maybe they all should understand what is Qiyamah is and give up this nonsense of fighting. Even the children are fighting, they are carrying pistols and all that. Now, he asked me a very nice question, what is your religion now? To be very frank, my religion is a universal religion. This is the religion that Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi preached. That we don't only respect, but we worship. We worship Muhammad Sahib, Hazrat Ali, Fatima Bi, all of them. Worship. Also, we worship Christ. We worship Moses. Also, we worship Sri Krishna and Sri Ram. Because they are all flowers of the same tree of spirituality. At different times they came. So what we've done, we have plucked the flowers. Plucked the flowers, and we are fighting with the dead flowers. Once you get your realization, you will know what I am saying is absolute truth. Now can you imagine, there are Jews who are worshipping Muhammad Sahib. They are worshipping Christ. Can you believe this? Because it's a truth. When the truth is there, you know, on your fingertips. Some people don't believe in God. Just ask them the question, is there God? 3 times they ask, they start getting the roux on their hand. That's how you can make out the truth. You were born, say, in a Islam religion, so you are Islam. Supposing you were born in a Jew, then you would have been a Jew. It's just a chance. But once you are a realized soul, you understand that they are all one. We are the ones who are fighting. So we believe in a universal, pure religion, which is within ourselves. Another thing is, say a Muslim, for example, I was in Riyadh with my daughter. And I was coming from Riyadh, and we got into the plane to London I was going. And I had gone off to sleep. When I woke up, I found all different people. Ladies were wearing skirts 6 inches, smoking. I said, who are these ladies? And the men were very dandish type. I said, who are these men? They said, they are the same. I thought the plane has landed somewhere else. No, they are the same. That means Muslim religion is just lip service, nothing inside. So a Muslim can do any crime, a Hindu can do any crime, a Christian can do any crime. But after realization, you become really a real Muslim, become a real Christian and real Hindu. Because you just don't do wrong things, you become righteous. It is the becoming. You become religious. Our religion is outside. Absolutely outside. But it becomes inside. innately. So this is the innate, universal religion, which is pure religion we follow, and we respect every one of them. All right? That's a good idea. Do you believe the Pope and Imam Khomeini? What does that? Pope means Pope. No, not at all. They are just the same, useless people. Not at all. How can I believe? There's no truth about them. If you want to know, I'll tell you 100 things about them, how horrible they are. Useless. Do you believe Imam Zaman Mehi? Who is he? 12th Mehdi, of course. You will find out who is that, all right? Do you believe in Baha'i? No, not at all. Baha'i is all not correct. No, it's not correct. He was not a prophet. Are you a new prophet? Now, this I will not tell you. You see, Muhammad Sahib did not tell that he was divine. Of course, that I cannot deny, because you will know very soon that I am divine. But I will not say anything about myself. You see, Christ was the Son of God. Despite that, they crucified him. Muhammad Sahib was a prophet. They gave him poison. I don't want to get killed. So, no, I don't want to tell anything about myself, all right? Because people are so stupid. If you tell them I'm a prophet, tomorrow they'll be there with the swords cutting my throat.
You are an angel.
Now you have to find out. When you find out, then believe. You should not blindly believe in anything, because you blindly believe in everything, and what happened? Now, first get your enlightenment and then believe. Not before that. Nobody should believe me blindly. It's no use. All right? So should we now, have we finished, or you are asking some questions?
Please explain to us culture and tradition that is important to you.
What's it?
Culture and tradition that is important to yourself.
So I need to
Hey, can you explain the culture and tradition which is important to you?
Culture, you see, should be natural and moral. But all the culture that we follow is according to the ruh, the vibrations. Supposing, see, we have stupid cultures all over. But what is good and what is bad? We cannot discriminate normally. So, on vibrations you can ask. But automatically people become, religious. I don't have to tell them. Now, in the West, Christ has said that thou shalt not have adulterous eyes. What a subtle thing. Even the eyes should be without lust and greed. But look at these Christians. All their eyes are moving like this, like that, all over. So, after Sahaja Yoga, eyes become innocent. Your attention becomes innocent. Not only that, but the attention becomes active. It's the becoming, again I'll say. It's not just talking and sermon and lecture, but it is becoming of you is important. You become that. All right? You become religious. Is there any other question, or should we have our realization? Yes, please.
I believe personally that there's a purpose to everything that happens. all good. There is no bad with the concept of God. So what lessons were we to learn from what happened in India just weeks ago? 20 to 30,000 people in a matter of seconds.
All right.
What was the lesson we learned?
Sit down. Now see, first what I have said, that we have to have the light. Then I don't have to teach you any lessons. You become your own master, your own prophet. With the light you know everything. Of course, I mean, if you ask me, I will tell you. But you see, you become so wise yourself. Suddenly you grow. So I'm not going to tell you do this, do that, nothing. I just say take your realization, that's all, to begin with. And then you will know what is to be done. I'm sorry, madam, I don't know any Iranian, but some words I knew also I've forgotten now. Yeah?
You believe in dreams and nightmares?
We believe in dreams and nightmares.
No, I don't believe in them, but they are there. No doubt.
They come true?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are different types of dreams you have. And they come from different sources. This all you will know in Sajo. Alright? Now you will have no nightmares and very few dreams after realization. No fear, nothing. It's finished. No worry, no tension, nothing. So it's your own.
Lady, the friend who had a question for you.
Yeah.
She was asking about karma, about the destiny of each person, and does everyone have a karma?
क्या बोले? क्या?
कर्मा के बारे में पूछ रहे हैं.
Karmas. All right. You see, all these karmas come to us through our belief that we are doing something. All right. Now here is the, you see here, when this center in the optic chiasma here, you see, when it opens out and the kundalini passes through it, it sucks in both the things. One side is your karmas, another side your conditionings. Both are sucked in. Then what happens? Then you go into a karma. Means you don't think you are doing anything. It's just happening. It's happening. You talk in third person. You don't say, I did it. Because we believe that we did it, that's why we think we have done the karmas. But if the I is not there, then no more karmas, finished. Alright? That theory was 8,000 years back. Now today it's over. So should we have our realization? Yes?
You call Baha'i religion a faith, and that's normally
क्या फरमाओ?
वो कह रहे हैं कि बहाई को झुटलाया, उसमें आपने क्या जाना बहाई को इसके बारे में? बहाई को गलत क्यों कहा?
Because Baha'i has not done any resurrection work. It's just making money and building big Baha'i temples, that's all. Are we on this earth to build temples and mosques and this and that? We have had enough of them. What have they done? You see, we should see the work they have done. What work have they done? Nothing. Just somehow or other they make money, I don't know how, and they build very nice, big temples, that's all. That's not going to achieve anything. There's a saying that the one who meets you, God, is the real master. The rest is all nonsense. What is there in building this place or that place, you see? In India, one king built Raj Mahal, so what? We can't call him godly person or a religious person, all right. He built a big Taj Mahal, finished. Or there's Leaning Tower of Pisa, so what? We don't call them godly people. All right, they are building nice buildings, all right, good idea, but they are not religious people. It's logically, when you reach that point, you will understand that first thing is that it has to be spiritual. And spiritual doesn't mean talk spiritual. People talk too much. They say talk has been too much. What have they done to human beings? I tell you, once I was traveling by plane with two Bahai sitting, one this side and one that side. Both were emitting such horrible heat from their body that I had to get up and go to another. And both were fighting. You must see the disciples. You must see the people who are following that person. What sort of a life they lead? Are they moral people? Are they good people? What have they done? What have they achieved? Isn't it? First is, do you believe life after death? Of course. Of course. There is life after death. But we should worry about the present, not what will happen to us, all right? Once you get your realization, you will just play with your death. It's nothing. Just a joke. So this is it. Do you believe in paradise? Of course. You have to enter into paradise, means the kingdom of God, which you will enter. All right? Do you believe religious, political mix? No. But once we have the people who are religiously enlightened, then the government will be also religiously enlightened automatically, isn't it? Just now this mix-up is no good. So, who is last prophet in the world? That I will not tell you. Because this has created lots of problems. Are you vegetarian or are you eat meat? No, I do eat meat. I cannot be vegetarian. And try to understand, what's the use of saving chickens? Am I going to give realization to chickens or to goats? This is all fad. Vegetarianism, this, that. In India we have vegetarians, such hot-tempered people they are, that though they are vegetarians, they are good for nothing, useless, absolutely. Quarrelsome, fighting. So, whatever suits your body, you should eat. But eating is not so important after Sahaja Yoga. You eat whatever you get, you just enjoy yourself. That's it. You never get bored. It doesn't become so important. Now, are there more questions?
This is the last one.
Achha, let's have.
$1 says here, in God we trust.
No,
Okay. You see here? In God we trust.
They all talk
This-
like
yes,
that.
This is the political dollar, you know,
Yeah.
government dollar.
I know.
It's not my dollar, it's political dollar. American dollar.
Yeah.
All money they have there, we trust God, you know. And what's your
I mean, this
meaning
is,
that?
they
you
can
know,
write,
But this is not political, religious, every day, meaning you remember the God, you know. And this
you
is
better
what-
ask them.
No,
What
I
you
ask
ask.
you. This is not advertising for Christian to people always remember the God, you see?
Yeah. Must
In
be.
America or in the world?
You see, it is true.
What do you think about that?
I tell you, they do it everywhere like this. In God we trust. All right, trust then. It's all right. If God is one, what is there to fight? You see, your God is the same and their God is the same. This is what they don't realize.
Excuse me.
There's no Christian God, Muslim God, Hindu God. Only one God.
Following the question before the last one, you know that if we eat meat, we should kill animals. You're right.
I don't kill.
Nobody else does.
No, I don't kill. But they are killed by somebody. And there's no harm. We are killing human beings for stop that. We are more worried about animals than about human beings. You see, I am not going to give realization to animals. And if you meet animals, it's not going to do harm to them. On the contrary, evolutionary process, they improve.
Is it all right that because they suffer pain?
It is all right.
The animals suffer pain when they die.
Huh?
You're talking about the animals, they suffer pain when you kill them.
Yes.
Well,
Is it
so
all
do
right?
plants. I mean, if you eat vegetables,
Actually, they don't know the pain part, but you see, there are ways by which you can reduce their pain also. There are ways of reducing pain, but we need meat, important. See, those people who are eating too much meat should eat vegetarian, because they're very aggressive people. Those who are not at all eating, like Indians, they don't eat. So they should eat meat, I think, because they're very weak people. Supposing an Iranian slaps an Indian, he'll just go flat on the road. Not only that you meet, but you have almonds and you have everything in your country. So you are much healthier people, no doubt. So if you stop eating, that would be all right for you. Doesn't matter. It's a balance. We must have a balance.